Alright, good evening folks, it's Enforcer Matt and welcome back to another Short War Summary, and today we're receiving breaking news coming out of the Black Sea that allegedly 3 or 4 civilian vessels have broken through the Russian blockade and they have made it to Ukrainian port. And I must stress right off the bat that this is very preliminary information. We don't have a ton of concrete sources and detail at the moment, but right now it's looking like this might have occurred, so we're going to examine what we have and see what the information is that's available to us at the moment. So let's go ahead and jump right into our first news article of the day, which is from Ukrainska Pravda in English. It says the Israeli ship AMS-1 was the first to enter the Ukrainian Danube Delta despite the Russian blockade, and 4 more ships are allegedly following them. We also see here at the bottom it says American P-8 Poseidon anti-submarine aircraft provided the security, while the Forte 12 RQ-4 recon drone provided additional information. And this is very big news, and also the details are very important in this story. It looks like the Americans are providing the escort or security to these ships according to this story, and I must stress it once again, very preliminary information and not a lot backing this up, but this is what we have at the moment. We also see that apparently American recon drones are helping out as well, and also the Israeli ship is leading the way, but there are more potentially following that ship into port. So this story, I can't stress it enough, we need more information. We're going to be watching this one extremely closely throughout the day, because if it turns out to be true, it would suggest that the Russian blockade is not as strong as we once thought, or the Russians are simply bluffing, or something has happened where the Russians are unwilling to actually enforce the blockade that we're unaware of at the moment. So we need to wait and see exactly what's happening with this one, and I'm really looking forward to see if this is actually true, because if it is, it's very good news for Ukraine, and it could mean the restart of the grain exports out of their territory. So very big story to say the least. So moving on to our next piece of news here, we have a post from us at It's the Enforcer. It says, breaking, Ukraine and Croatia agree on the use of Croatian ports to export Ukrainian grain. And also it says Kyiv and Zagreb have agreed on the possibility of using Croatian ports on the Danube River to export Ukrainian grain, says the Foreign Minister Kuleba. And this is a very big news as well. One thing I have to note is it said they've agreed on the possibility of using the ports, and they don't have anything concrete at the moment. So while they have reached a early agreement, it's not solidified just yet. So what we're seeing here is a potential alternative to going through the Black Sea, or actually they still might go through the Black Sea, but an alternative to Ukraine exporting their grain where they could get around the Russian issue of the blockade. We'll have to wait and see if they can actually do that, but for right now it's looking like it could be a promising alternative for Ukraine to carry out. So we're going to keep a sharp eye on that one as well and see if they can come to a concrete agreement. Moving on to our next story here, we have a picture of the Chonhar Railway Bridge, and this is from Knoll Reports, by the way. It says the first image of the damage reportedly done to the railway crossing into Crimea appeared. And as you can see here, that there's a massive hole right in the middle of the bridge. There's also some bent rails here on the left and right side, and that is definitely not passable by train. And for the most part, the Russians have been keeping this story pretty quiet. I think they're trying to keep this away from the Russian public to not cause panic or not cause concern, and they're trying to cover this one up for the most part. Right now, Chonhar Railway Bridge, it is definitely down and out. It's going to take some time to fix this. Not sure how long, maybe a month or two, but it has definitely been disrupted by the Ukrainians, and that was a solid attack on their part. So they have definitely disrupted their operations on that front, and very good to see. So with that, we're moving on to our next story, and this one is from Knoll Reports. As we can see here, the Chonhar Bridge was attacked in the last post, and now we're seeing that the Kerch Bridge, which was attacked just a short while ago, probably a few days ago or about a week, they are now putting defenses around that bridge, and it includes anti-naval drone barriers, and this is supposed to stop Ukrainian drones from actually coming up and blowing the bridge up again. And we had speculated when that last attack happened that the Russians would install some kind of countermeasures this time, because now they're becoming very apparent that the bridge is a high-value target, if the Russians couldn't tell that already, and they want to prevent another attack from happening again. Right now, it looks like the only thing they're doing is this low-tech solution of the barrier. They could be installing some kind of sonar or high-tech system that they're simply not disclosing to the public, but I wouldn't have any faith in that. I think the Russians might be relying on this very cheap low-tech solution first to see if it's actually successful. As we know, the Russians like to take that simplistic approach before they go complex, and this could be the extent of the defenses. So we'll have to wait and see. And if this is it, then Ukraine might be able to find a way around it to attack that bridge again. So with that, picture right there. We're going to move on to our next story, which is from OSINT Defender. It says a Ukrainian drone is reported to have crashed into the roof on a one-story building in the town of Trubchevsk in the Bryansk region of western Russia, and the building is said to be used by the local police and the city administration. And what we see here is a continuation of the drone attacks inside of Russia being carried out by Ukraine. Zelensky did say that he's bringing the war back to the Russian mainland, and it definitely appears they are doing that very strongly. Also, we do know that Zelensky's top generals have been wanting to strike inside of Russia for over months now, and now it looks like Zelensky must have given the green light, and they're going ahead and attacking right into Russia. And we see here that they're attacking municipal government buildings, including the local police and city administrations. So they're going to cause some disruptions over there. They're going to cause people to slightly panic, to say the least. And it'll probably cause the Russian people to get angry and upset with their government and want to know why they're not being protected properly. So let's see how the Russian public reacts to that situation. And also, that is not the only place that they've attacked. Ukraine has attacked also in Bryansk, Rostov, and Crimea. Obviously, we saw that a moment ago, and it says here that starting a war has consequences, and the war is moving to Russia, and I certainly have to agree with that. The war is certainly moving back to Russia, and Ukraine is giving them some hurt, to say the least. So, with that, let's move on to our next story here, which is from Ukrainska Pravda in English. It says the Turkish Bayraktar drone repair center is to be created inside of Ukraine. And we're also seeing several defense manufacturers want to bring their facilities right to Ukraine. We've seen Rheinmetall want to build a factory right in the smack dab middle of the war zone. That's also something going on. And now we see Baykar, which is the parent company of the Bayraktar drone company. They're also wanting to build a repair center right in the middle of Ukraine as well. So it looks like Ukraine might be set to get some pretty big manufacturing. Obviously, it's going to help out in their war effort, and it'll be probably a big boost to their economy after the war's over as well, because these manufacturers will probably stay there and continue to manufacture weapons inside of Ukraine. So, big news, and it's good to see that the Baykar company is coming to Ukraine. So, let's move on to our next story here. This one's from OSINT Defender, and we have some more news about the Wagner PMC. Here we see pictures and video evidence of the Wagner building and expanding a network of tunnels and fortifications at their new base near the town of Tysel in the Mogilev region of central Belarus. And we can see that they are building some pretty, I guess you could say slightly elaborate tunnels or trenches. I'm not sure why they're building these. It could be for training purposes to show the Belarusians how to build these structures. Not really sure just yet, but with the Wagner, you never really can tell what they're up to, especially after the coup attempt. Wagner is being kept very, very in the dark, and so is the public about their operations. So we're really not sure what they're doing here, but they are definitely expanding upon their little base, and they're building fortifications in it as well. So it's up to your interpretation of what they're doing. It's basically left down to speculation at this point. So with that, we do have some more news about the Wagner. Another story from Ukrainska Pravda in English. It says Prigozhin says that the Wagner group no longer recruits mercenaries. And this is definitely a bombshell piece of news because the entire Wagner group is made up of mercenaries. So now that they're allegedly no longer recruiting them, at least according to Nutsack, they're not going to have any more recruits coming in. And the Wagner is basically going to stay consistent at the amount of troops that they have currently. If you believe that, then Wagner might be in for a slow death. If you don't believe it, well, that wouldn't be shocking either because Prigozhin lies like a dog. So we'll have to wait and see on that one as well. A lot of waiting and seeing on a lot of these stories. And we have one last story of the day, and this one is from Apex. It says Ukraine is to start consultations with the U.S. this week on providing security guarantees for Kyiv pending the completion of the process of joining NATO, says a senior Ukrainian official. And that was reported by Reuters. And this is a little bit confusing to me because we see here that pending the completion of the process of joining NATO, so these guarantees aren't set to set in until after Ukraine joins NATO, which in my opinion kind of defeats the purpose of a security guarantee because the security guarantee was supposed to be a prelude to actually joining NATO and basically placate Ukraine in the meantime. And now it's looking like the security guarantees are simply coming after joining NATO. But the catch is, that comes automatically with NATO because you have Article 4 and 5, which basically gives them a very solid security guarantee in writing. So this basically means nothing in my opinion, but, maybe to Ukraine it does mean something, but to me it looks like some stalling on the part of the U.S. So with that is our last piece of news for the day. I hope you found this news informative. If you would, please press the like button and subscribe as well. Also, if you want to support our work, you can go over to our Patreon page and support us over there as well. And also peep our Twitter page. We post our news as it happens over there. And our Twitter handle is @It'sTheEnforcer. Give us a follow over there as well. We'd be glad to have you. And also, feel free to join us every single night except for a Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern to get some news about the war on our daily YouTube War News stream. Once again, thank you all for watching, and also, bye-bye for now.